Excitement here at Leopardstown for the next 4 days. We'll be certainly much the wiser come Friday evening. We start here at 1:15 with the Night Frank Juvenile hurdle, joined by Leon Blanche from Boyle Sports. It's Espoir. You won't get much backing him today. He's 8-1 second favourite for the Triumph hurdle, but he comes into this race with a huge reputation.
Yeah, he does come in with a huge reputation, Brian. He's second favourite to another Mr. McManus horse in Apple Shakira, who's clear favourite. He was very good at Fairyhouse the last day when he beat market rival Michuka, but it turned into a bit of a sprint. There wasn't much pace early on. It was totally different ground. You'd have to say he should hold the form, but in young horses you'd never know. I see he's slightly easier to back now, 5-2 on from 3-1 on, and the second favourite for Gordon Elliott and David Russell is a 7-2 chance. It looks between the two of them, but the favourite was very good at Fairyhouse.
The Racing Post Chase is our feature, and it was wonderful to see the declarations, dead duty declared by Gordon Elliott to take on Footpad and become.
But I think it's a one-horse race. I think Footpad will win.
One final question. Any other nuggets of information that we should keep an eye on Stephen's Day?
Well, in the bumper, there's a big price horse of Mr. McManus that's been nibbled at 8-1 from 12s. Balniti, Derek O'Connor for Joseph. And in the last race on RTE, Blast of Coman, 4-1 from 6-1 for Robert Tyner. When the money's down there, they normally go close.
They normally pick it up. The Kinsale trainer, the maestro himself, and Mary Tyner. On we go to the first race here, first live race. We've had two already. The Night Frank Juvenile hurdle. It's a small field. It's, as you can see, prize money of €45,000 won last year by your favourite Tom. And number one is the Void North horse, sold by the veterinary surgeon Walter Connors to JP McManus. Espoir, trained by Gavin Cromwell, and the mount of Mark Walsh. 2 is an absentee. 3 Far Class by Jukebox Jury. Gordon Elliott trains in the steering seat. Jack Kennedy. 4 Mastermind, Dennis O'Regan. 5 Michuka, Davy Russell already in the winner's enclosure. 10th Amendment will wear saddle slot number 6, Robbie Colgan. 7 is Grey Waters for Joseph O'Brien and Shane Shortall. And Katie Walsh will ride for her dad Ted on Minnie Dahal. Number 8 for the Night Frank Juvenile hurdle. You can see, Tom, this horse is pretty short in the market. It's Espoir.
And I think you'd have to argue rightly so, Brian. If you think about it, 6 rivals to him today have got to try and do what no horse has done over the hurdles, and that's get in front of him, because in 3 runs he's been pretty much flawless, if we're honest. Matushka, closest market rival, well, let's be absolutely frank, he had him in his pocket at Fairyhouse the last day, and I think if you're realistic, you have to say he has to run below par. The others have to improve today if there's to be a shake-up. Round about 10-1 the best price right now if you want to back this very promising Espoir for the Triumph hurdle at Cheltenham in March. Could be another stepping stone, it looks like, anyway.
Okay, so not long to go until our first race, the third on the card, the Night Frank Juvenile hurdle, and Ruby's beside me. Look, it is all about Espoir. Very impressive the last time. Like, if he wins this, you'd have to say probably the leading Irish-trained juvenile in the country at the moment.
He is, most definitely is already. He was very good on his Irish debut in Punchestown, and then he went to Down Royal at their big meeting, and he won well there, and came back to the Winter Festival in Fairyhouse and beat Michuka. I've been very impressed with him. I've ridden in most of the races he's run in. The way he travels, the way he jumps, I think he's going to be very, very hard to beat. I think he could be as good as Nicky Henderson's filly, the McManus's own as well, Apple Shakira.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I mean, you by me in Punchestown, what we call the old stone wall, doing a half speed with 5 furlongs to run. I think he's a very, very good horse, and I think even at 4-9, he's a good price.
Yeah, I mean, he is very short, but as you say, he seems to be the class horse in the race. The one thing about it last time, as Leon Blanche mentioned there, it was a very slowly won race, and he had to pick it up, but he showed he could pick it up.
I think he'd be better going a better gallop, and this place will suit him better. There's a newcomer in Ireland, Farkless of Gordon Elliott's. He's reported to school really well at home. He was around the school and race in Fairyhouse last week, but I think he's going to have to be well above average to make Espoir go.
Okay, this is Michuka for Gordon Elliott. Looking to reverse the form, I suppose, on Espoir at Fairyhouse last time. He's £3 better off here, though, but it still looks a pretty big ass. Davy Russell on board.
He'll want to be £13 better off. It's a suspect stayer as well. Number 6 then is 10th Amendment. Keith Clark's runner, Robbie Colgan rides. He's been running away well, I suppose. Over hurdles was 2nd and was 8th, but I'd say running for prize money. Where's a hood? There's not a massive amount of pace in this race. This could be one that might go.
Yeah, that's 10th amendment there. So runners and riders just getting ready to go down towards the start line. Of course, Ted Walsh is back with us after tending to Minnie Hill. What kind of chance would we give?
Yeah, she'd be doing well to be third. I mean, the other two have beaten her well both times they've met her. They're two better horses than her. But she's a nice filly, experienced. Mihal, who owns her, and he's staying up for Christmas and he come race and enjoy it. She might be placed if she's doing well. If Ruby just said there might be no pace, Katie said the same thing. Most of the lads don't want to go on. Dennis O'Regan thought he might make it if there's no pace. If it's a crawl, Katie will make it, because all she does is stay going.
And she's a good jumper as well.
She's a good jumper, even though she fell with Ruby at Punchestown, but she's a good leper in general, isn't she, Ruby?
She is, yeah. She's jumped super and down Royal when she won. But it's a funny one, like there was no pace at these juveniles in Ferryhouse either, which is a fast track, and Machuca was a miler on the flat and didn't have the gears to beat Espoir Dallin around Ferryhouse. If I was riding Espoir Dallin, I'd keep it very simple. I'd book him out and let him gallop along, and he'd never see another rival.
Yeah, that's number 4, Mastermind for Charles O'Brien. Bit of a surprise winner at 20-1 in Gorham Park last time out. That was on heavy ground. Bit of rain won't harm his cause, I should say. And he also had a hood on for the first time. That seemed to do the trick as well.
Yeah, improved a good bit from his first run, but did win really well in Gorham. And 8 is obviously Dad's mare, Minnie Hill, which you just spoke about. She fell with me the last day in Punchestown. She won in Down Royal, didn't handle the real heavy ground in the stall at all when she was 5th. But the day she was 3rd in Punchestown was the day that Espoir Dallin took my breath away. He came by me so easy, so far out in the race, and it was a really strongly run race. There's the form. I just think his form sticks out a mile.
It's nice for JP to have the top 2 in the Triumph at the moment. Apple Shakira, Ted does have the option of the mare's novices hurdle if he wanted to go that route, depending on just how good he feels Espoir Dallin is.
Yeah, I suppose it does. I suppose they'll sort themselves out. They still have 3 months to go to Cheltenham. I'd imagine the filly, the fillies race would be hard to win too. There's a good few novice fillies around as well too. You'd imagine maybe with the allowance that she may go to the Triumph, and I'd say they'd both of them take their chance. Barry will be trying to keep both of them apart if he can, but
Absolutely.
I'd say Gavin Cromwell would like to go there, and so would Nicky Henderson. So I'd say
the penalties will come into it too. Again, by the time Apple Shakira and Espoir, particularly Apple Shakira lines up in Cheltenham, she'll have acquired quite a number of penalties for the mare's novice hurdle that they won't want a 4-year-old to be carrying. So she more likely one of them could run into Supreme to me than the mare's novice. There's 3 again, that far class. You saw him in Ferryhouse today.
Yeah, he travelled well, jumped well. They didn't go a great gallop in it, but he finished up well. A bunch of Gordons came to the last upsides, and this fella caught the eye a bit. They didn't go a great gallop, but Gordon likes him, and he's sure to run a good race. Just for viewers looking in, we haven't actually shot Robert Hall. He's at home on television.
Yeah.
He's at home with Lucinda watching it. He's been under the weather a bit, so if you're looking in, Robert, great to see that you're back in good order, and we'll hang on to you for a few days. Anyway.
I did text him yesterday for any advice, and I got a couple of messages back, so I won't tell you what he told me, but he told me to watch out for you for one thing, anyway.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you're in good form, and we're all hoping you'd make a speedy recovery. Good man.
Judging by the walking out of shot there, it looks like Dennis O'Regan had changed his mind. He was at the back of the pack, and Katie Walsh was towards the front. Yeah, Dennis O'Regan is dead last. That would be kind of how the race would be taking shape. Walk around at the start, lads will get in position, so it looks like the 2 Jigginstown runners are going to go handy and wide. Katie's up there on the inside, Dennis O'Regan is dropping out, Robbie Colgan with the hood is taking a bit of cover, and that's the way they'll approach the tape now. Pretty much walk all the way from there to the starting tape, which is about 150 yards, but it looks like Minnie Hill is going to book out with Grey Waters, and the Jigginstown horses will be deep on the track as they usually are.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a lot of market support for Fire Class, but he did win on the flat in France, and I'd just be interested to see how he goes with Jack Kennedy on board.
They will, yeah.
So Brian and Tom, if you want to just come in with the latest action there ahead of our first race here, the 3rd in the card.
Espoir Dallin 2-1 on favourite Hugh, 130 Machuca and 10-1 Bar Tom.
Yeah, note the 4-horse Mastermind 20-1 into 10-1, and also the unease about this favourite Espoir Dallin, who was 4-11 at midday yesterday, has touched 8-11 here on the track. That seems to suggest a little bit of doubt. Fascinating to see how this plays out as Tony calls them home for this fascinating and potentially fantastic grade 2 here. The 1:15, they're walking in.
2 miles ahead of them, they're walking in. The 7 runners, the absentee being number 2, Desert Grey, and Dahal with the white face on the right. Grey is Grey Waters for Joseph O'Brien. On the left, in the first Jigginstown set of colours, is Far Class, having his first run in Ireland and his first run over hurdles. Walking in nice and quietly, and away they go, off and running, 8 flights of hurdles ahead of them as they make their way towards the first, and Grey Waters in the centre. On the inside is Minnie Dahal, and they're followed towards the outer. by Machuca, followed by Far Class and the favourite Espoir on his inside is 10th Amendment, and Mastermind, one that has been back from 20s into 10s, brings up the rear as they head past the winning post for the first time. Full circuit ahead of them, nearing flight number 2, and Minnie Dahil and Katie Walsh leading by about half a length or so to Grey Waters and Shane Shortall in second, and they're followed in third place by Machuca, the white cap, being followed by the green and gold hoops and white cap of the odds-on favourite Espoir as they come up now towards flight number 2. Minnie Dahil on the inside of Grey Waters, and they're followed by Machuca. Minnie Dahil jumped out to the right there, but still has the lead. The two fillies 1-2 at this stage. Grey Waters on the outside of Minnie Dahil. Not much pace on as they come towards the third. Minnie Dahil in the lead, again slightly to the right. Alongside is Grey Waters, and they're followed by Espoir and Machuca. Behind these on the inside is 10th Amendment, and they're followed by Far Class, and bringing up the rear, Dennis O'Regan on Mastermind as they swing left-handed into the back straight and make their way towards flight number 4. Minnie Dahil disputing the lead with Grey Waters. Just over a length behind him is Machuca. A neck behind Machuca is Espoir the favourite, and 5th is Far Class, and then comes 10th Amendment, and finally Mastermind as they level up on the far side of the course, coming towards flight number 4. Grey Waters on the outside of Minnie Dahil. A length and a half to Machuca, then half a length to Espoir and Mark Walsh in 4th place, followed by Far Class and Jack Kennedy, and then 10th Amendment, and Mastermind is the back marker. First down the far side, Grey Waters the leader, from Minnie Dahil in second, and towards the left is Machuca. Espoir just in behind the leaders, with Far Class tracking him. 10th Amendment is on the inside, and bringing up the rear is Mastermind as they come to the next. This will be 4 from home. Grey Waters with Minnie Dahil on the inside. Then comes Machuca, Espoir then 10th Amendment and Far Class, and Mastermind is the back marker as they race towards the last one in the back straight. This is 3 from home. Minnie Dahil and Grey Waters still 1-2. Machuca is next on the left, Espoir 10th Amendment and Far Class, and Mastermind still the back marker, but they're tightly packed as they race into the turn, taking them off the back straight. With just over half a mile to race and 2 hurdles to jump, Minnie Dahil narrowly from Grey Waters. They're followed by Machuca. On the inside of Machuca in 4th place is Espoir and then Far Class and 10th Amendment, and just over 2 lengths to the back marker, Mastermind. Coming down towards the second last, Minnie Dahil narrowly from Grey Waters, just behind the Machuca, then Espoir Far Class is in 5th, 10th Amendment, and finally Mastermind as they near the second last. Minnie Dahil on the inside from Grey Waters, Machuca, Espoir still travelling strongly just behind them. Far Class trying to make a move on the outside, then 10th Amendment, Mastermind brings up the rear. They swing for home, a long run to the final flight. Katie Walsh begins to go to work on Minnie Dahil on the inside. Espoir moves up smoothly now and hits the front. The favourite goes to the lead as they come to the final flight. Machuca's in second, Far Class is running on in third, but it's Espoir and Mark Walsh in the lead at the final flight. Jumps it well from Machuca in second, Far Class in third, and they're clear of Grey Waters as they race into the closing stages. It's Espoir hands and heels from Mark Walsh, going to win it. Far Class, nice run in second on his hurling debut. Machuca's third, they're clear of Grey Waters, and then came 10th Amendment, followed in by Mastermind, and the long-time leader, Minnie Dahil, is last. So 4 on the bounce for Espoir and a smoothly achieved victory under Mark Walsh.
Well, the winner was impressive, Ruby. He never looked like he was going to get beat, and he did it nice, and he's like a lot of gears, and he stays. He does everything you'd want in a good horse, doesn't he?
Look, the form told you that beforehand, and that's the way it panned out. I mean, jumped to second last there, Katie stayed in front, and the grey horse keeps out of it. Mark Walsh gets a beautiful split through in the green and yellow colours between the one on the red and the grey horse. I'd say Davy Russell is roaring his head off. I thought the lads to keep in and keep the door closed, but Mark Walsh gets a beautiful split through, and it's all over. looking at it, I mean, Davy is squeezing hard on the outside. Mark Walsh is travelling best. Jack Kennedy is rolling away behind him. And this horse has a look at the last and shortens up and pops it a little bit untidy for being critical. But, in 2 strides he quickens up again. And without Mark Walsh ever getting overly serious, he's gone away and won. And I think he'll be a better horse off a stronger gallop. He's beaten 2 quickish horses, flat horses in Farkas and Machuca, off a slow pace. I think off a strong gallop he'd destroy them.
Yeah, because we didn't really know. I mean, that was the big question mark about Ferryhouse the last time when he won. It was a very slowly won race. I was hoping today we might see a quicker gallop just to see what he's like in that condition.
Yeah, well, we didn't. We said steady again. See, no one really wanted to make it, and it's probably testing ground. You're trying to give horses as easy a time as you can, 3-year-olds, on this kind of ground. But it wasn't a great gallop by any manner of means, and the winner has won it easy. He's well entitled to be second favourite for the Triumph on what I've seen, and I would think he'll give JP's other mare a belly full of it.
I have to think the same.
Huh? Okay, let's go down to Tracy Piggott. She's with the winning jockey. Okay, we've lost Tracy there, but obviously just watching the replay of the closing stages. Never really looked at any real bother, did he?
We didn't, and it is a tricky one, especially with we call them juveniles. They're 3-year-olds. Granted, they'll be 4 next week, but it's very easy to go off too quick on them, and that's why maybe in juveniles everyone is a little bit more conservative. But I love the way this horse does it. I mean, I thought 4 to 9 was a good price. 1 to 2 was an even better one.
Yeah, touched 8 to 11. I'd say that was snapped up as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I suppose the bookmakers after having a couple of results early in the card, so they were looking to take this fella on as well. But I thought he was very good. And to me, Willie ran a mare last week at Ferryhouse called Stormy Ireland. She was very, very impressive. But this guy does look the best of the Irish juveniles thus far, and I'd imagine he'll be back here at the Winter Festival in February.
Okay, let's hear from the winning trainer. Let's go down to Andy.
Gavin, you must be absolutely delighted with that performance.
Brilliant, Andrew, yeah. But he was a small bit keen early on. It was a messy enough kind of a race. But look, he won well.
And that's 4 from 4 since you've got him. Barry 3 times now. Mark today seems to get on very well. He seems a very straightforward horse.
Very straightforward. As I said, race a little bit keen early on today, but a very straightforward horse. Jumps great and very professional for a juvenile.
You must be very much looking forward to the future with him. Will it be back here for the Spring Juvenile at the new Dublin Festival?
Yeah, look, he'll definitely have an entry in it. Now, he hasn't missed any dance. He's been busy enough for a juvenile, but he's taken it all well, and sure, he'll definitely have an entry, and please God, Cheltenham is on the cards.
Very good. And then you had a juvenile winner at the Punchtown Festival before, so that could be taken in for the end of the season.
Yeah, well, look, that's a long way away. We'll one step at a time.
Yeah. And when a lot of medium-sized trainers are finding these hard times, you're very much a wanted man and having a good run at the moment.
Great, and long may it continue. Enjoying it, and hopefully it stays going.
Long may it continue. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, Gavin Cromwell there, happy man as you would expect after another win. 4 on the bounce now, and 10 to 1 Boyle Sports say for the Triumph hurdle now. Apple Shakir is still leading that market.
Yeah, I suppose you're into anti-post betting, but it's a long way away. They all have to get there. They all have to run again. I don't know what kind of price he'd be on the day. I wouldn't have the clue, to tell you the truth. But as Andy was saying there, Gavin wouldn't have that big a string, but he's doing a great job with these horses. Of course, he did have Gers Gard. There's Charlie Swan in the shot in the orange tie. Charlie actually sourced this horse in France and bought him for JP, and that's Frank Berry with the hat, who's JP McManus's racing manager. And I'm sure they're all pretty chuffed at themselves. A good start to Christmas for them.
Yeah, it was interesting watching Farclas, who just came in ahead of Davy Russell to get second with Jack Kennedy, and his first run over hurdles wasn't a bad one at all.
No, you'd imagine he'd be hard enough to beat the maiden wherever he goes in sort of 3 weeks' time, but he'll have to improve again. The next time he'd probably meet Espoir Dallin. He was getting a few pounds off him today. He'll be meeting him at levels, because that Spring Juvenile hurdle here's a grade 1, and Espoir Dallin won't have a penalty, so he's going to be worse off for getting beaten by him.
Yeah, Charlie Swan just having a quick chat with the lads there, and obviously it's brilliant for him as well to go and source a horse like that. It turns out to be 4 in a row and beaten over hurdles. He's obviously done a good job.
Yeah, he's by a great stallion too, Videnor. There's not a huge amount of him, but he's a very good stallion, and great for Mark Walsh. Barry's obviously in Kempton riding Bouvard there, so Mark picks up the riding him today, and it's a great job to have second jockey to JP McManus. There's plenty of good horses to go around, and Barry's in the UK quite a bit, so Mark gets his fair share of chances, and when he gets them, he takes them. He doesn't leave many behind him.
No, he certainly does not. I think we can hear from him now in just a minute. Tracy is with Mark Walsh. Not yet? No, okay, all right. Just photograph time for the winning connections, as you can see there.
Who's going to buy the picture? I can't see Frank or Charlie or Mark buying it. You? Huh? Maybe Gavin will buy it.
Okay, listen, obviously we had some very sad news in the last 10 days or so, Ted, about Noel O'Brien, the handicapper, and he seemed to be just such a universally popular figure in what is a very difficult job to do.
Yeah, well, Noel was a real gentleman in every step of the way. Like, he was great fun to be with. He was a very honourable fella. He was a very kind person. He had all the attributes you'd want in a good human being. Noel had him in abundance, and I knew him from the time he was 17 or 18 when he went to the Turf Club, and then he went on to be understudy to Louis McGee, and then to Ted Kelly, and then take over senior position with the Turf Club as senior handicapper. He'd done a great job, Ruby. Anyone could approach him. Everything else,
as you said, he was great company, but you could have any discussion with him. You'd ask him why he gave a horse a certain rate, and then he'd back up his opinion. He'd explain it to you. He had a job where he should have had loads of enemies and very few friends, but it was the absolute opposite for him. I don't know how he did it. He should have been a politician by right, because he managed to keep so many people happy, made his own decisions, and he was an incredible man.
Yeah.
I was reading a report there that he liked to actually have face-to-face chats with the trainers, Ted, to explain the rationale behind his decisions.
Yeah, he wasn't. There was no arrogant streak in Noel. I mean, you'd walk up to him there and have a chat with him, as Ruby said, about a weight or whatever it was, and if he got it wrong, he'd put his hands up and say, that one got away, and he'd take great pride in an 8 or 10 of them coming together in Paddy Power, that he took great pride when he got it right, and when he got it wrong, he wasn't that I couldn't get it wrong. He didn't think he was infallible. He just was a lovely human being.
You'd see people going at him to attack him over a mark or a rate, and he'd stand there next to the conversation with kind of tone down, and everybody seemed to leave on good terms. So when trainers went at him to have a go at him, he seemed to be able to talk them down and explain his decision, and he was just very, very, very good at his job.
It's not always the case, though. We look across the water. I mean, Nick Henderson had a good goal last week over Whisper and the handicap mark that he got.
He did, yeah, but Noel, as you said, difficult job, and he did it really well. And he's a huge loss to his extended family. There was a lot of the O'Briens in it there from Cara, and Noel was very much part of all of them, and he had a very few very close friends in the Turf Club that'll miss him. We'll all miss him, because when he's gone, but we'll never forget him, because we all have our own special memories of Noel. He was just a one-off.
Yeah, a one-off. Okay, let's say hand over to Brian.
So say all of us, Ted. A light went out on Irish racing last week. 57 years of age, taken from us far too soon. He was a nature's gentleman, and encyclopedic forensic knowledge of the form book, but he had time for the big man as well as the small man. He touched everybody that he met in racing and outside of racing, Tom. He was, I think no amount of superlatives would do this man justice.
Away from racing language, I would say, just in very human language, he was absolutely ace. What a truly outstanding human being. Fun, approachable, friendly, an elite high-level operator, but what a help to, you said, trainers, great and small. Anybody could go up to Noel O'Brien and he'd give them the steer without giving anything away. Gent.
Absolutely, of course. He did a very difficult job, but he did it extremely well to his brothers, his sisters, his family, his wide circle of friends here and in England. Our deepest sympathy on RTE Racing. Yeshte Garev and Anam. Noel O'Brien made the sod rest lightly on your chest. You're a class act. The show must go on, as Noel O'Brien would say. He'd want us to find the next winner, and I think he would be very, very, very impressed with Espoir who is still second favourite for the Triumph Hurdle, and I think I might like a little bit of that 10-1. He was a 2-1 on favourite, winning by 1 1/4 lengths, but it could have been much more had Mark Walsh so wished. And Espoir who of course was sold by the Dungarvan veterinary surgeon Walter Connors, even though it won his 1.5 mile AQPS race in Maiden in France. Walter of course sold Get a Bird and Bacardis, lots and lots of good horses. Espoir 2-1 on favourite. Second, number 3, Far Class, 10-1. And third, number 5, Machuca, 7-2. You might see him back here for the Leopardstown Festival in early February. He remains unbeaten. 2-1 on favourite. Espoir
Thanks for that. We are going to have details of a competition coming up very soon with a fantastic prize, but we're going to take a very quick break, and we're back with more racing after these.